pinpoint one spot.
1, 2, 3.
So I'm back here in the backyard practicing. Actually thought I might do a little video on the status here of my bow. I know some of you may have watched the last antelope hunt that I put on the channel here, and I had my backup bow with me, and that was due to some issues with my V3 here the day before. And actually prior to that day we were having some issues that I didn't mention. So I kind of wanted to go over where we're at on this bow, and maybe touch on some things that you should look at throughout the season and each year that you're using your bow. Like I said, I used that backup bow on that antelope trip, which was my Traverse, and I really like that bow. It's kind of in the same shape that this one was in. Strings wore out, and other than that though, that bow is really solid. But it has a little bit more forgiveness because it's a 7-inch brace height, and this one's like 6.5. Not as forgiving with this bow here. When you have a bow like that that has that shorter brace height, you have a smaller margin of error. Not only your form and stuff like that, but also your components on your bow not being up to par. What we got here is this V3 has new strings on it. I actually had to put new top limbs on this bow. And where this all started was I was trying to get a little bit more weight out of this bow. I wanted to change my draw weight because I was just feeling like it was a little sluggish, and I knew that that was probably due to my strings being worn out. I thought maybe I could just get a couple more twists out of those cables and that string and get the poundage up a little bit more. And we also changed out our mods. Went back to a 70-pound mod where I had a 65-pound mod on there before. So yeah, I'm just going to go through what we had to do here. Fortunately, we had to change out the top limbs. I took it in to have those cables and strings put a little bit more twist in them. And the gentleman that was working on my bow, he had it in his vise, and he had a Hoyt accessory set up. He had to have a certain clamp set up on his bow vise, was made specifically for Hoyt. When he let that down, the bow had slipped down and had caught on part of the metal on that other accessory and put a nick in one of my limbs. He was kind enough to order me a new set of limbs for the top. It was cosmetic, basically. It just chipped the paint. These are a solid limb, so they're not like a layered limb that you would have in your older bows. So it was not a big concern to me. I continued to shoot it after that, but wasn't real comfortable with it. But then after we did all that, you know, we twisted the cables and the strings, tried to put more poundage on it. It just wasn't quite shooting right. And then I had the issue with the Hamskea rest. This one here that I got a new rest. We'll get into that, but this is the Epsilon. The one prior to that, I can't remember the model, but it was the older style, and it has a spring that connected from the rest to the string to the limb drive, and that had snapped on me the day before, and I didn't have any way to really replace that. It wasn't working right, so I just said screw it, we're just gonna go with the backup Traverse and get this trip in. I'll just go into what we got new here on this bow. Now going into this video, my main thought was just to show you what I got new on this, but I also want to talk about the importance of maintaining your bow and the strings and all that stuff. So on other videos I've talked about looking your bow over. That was one of the things that kind of saved me on this deal was, the gentleman said, hey, I don't know if that was there before or not, and I said, I guarantee you that was not there before, because I look over my bows all the time before I shoot. And that's just a good practice to get into. Look over your limbs, look over your riser, all your equipment, just to make sure that everything is in good shape. And that's what I told him. I said, I know for a fact that wasn't there because I overlook my bow all the time, even in practice as I'm shooting. Every time I'm looking at the limbs, I'm checking out the risers and things like that, because you just never know. I've had bows delaminate, you know, string issues and things like that. So it's always good to just look over your bow before you shoot all the time, and just gives you that confidence that your stuff's in good shape. These are gas strings. They're really a nice string. I like these strings. They so far I haven't seen any stretching or anything on them. My peep has not moved at all since I've got this, and I probably shot over 200 arrows in it since I've got it back. We also have a new rest. I got the Hamskea Epsilon, which has a different system here as far as keeping tension on that string, that limb string, that limb drive, and it also has kind of a dampener on the string built into the string. So a little bit more money than I wanted to spend at the time, but I think it's going to be worth it, because that other one, I think that spring was stretching on me, and so I was constantly having to tighten it. The tension piece on that rest was not good. I had to actually serve that in all the time because it would just let up, and I was constantly having to adjust that. This one has a kind of a football tensioner on it, and so far it hasn't let up on me. I went with the orange strings. They really look good on this bow with this color of Matthews. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and shoot a couple here and just kind of show you. I noticed a huge difference after I got this bow back and got the new strings and stuff on it. Huge difference in the shootability of this bow. It's back to where it was when I first got it. So it's always good, guys, to change out those strings if you can afford it. Do it every year. If they don't look that bad, you're probably okay. I've shot strings for, that Traverse is probably 4 years old now, and I've kept the same strings on it and it still shoots great. But you can see that peep kind of rotate a little bit, and so that's just things. You're gonna lose some draw weight with those strings relaxing and giving up tension. It's always good just to replace those strings, get your bow back to where it should be. I heard slapping. I kind of rushed through these, but getting eaten up here. But they'll give you a good idea of how much difference having new strings and a new setup can do for you. Before this, I was really struggling to get any kind of grouping, and that right there is pretty good at 30 yards. So I'll take it. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for watching, and get a chance, you can go back and watch some of my early hunts this year. So far we haven't had a lot of them, but we haven't had a lot of success, but I'm thinking that this is going to change here in a couple weeks when we start getting out and looking for whitetails and stuff. So we did come across a really nice mule deer up where I antelope hunt. So next weekend we may have to try and get up there and see if we can't put an arrow in him, but he was pretty nice. Keep your eyes open for those hunts, and God willing, we'll be able to get out there and bring you something. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there in your hunts, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next video.